Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the Monday, May 8th edition of the Lebanon Redevelopment Commission. We'll begin this evening, as we do with each meeting, with the Pledge of Allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Commission. Madam Clerk, if you could note all Commission members are present. Mr. Parks is excused this evening and is not joining us. Next up, I have our approval of the minutes, and we have...
March 14th and April 10th.
So we have March 14th and April 10th, and we can do those...
13th or 14th?
The 13th?
March 13th.
Yeah.
That's exactly what I said.
March 13th.
April 10th, right?
And April
Yeah.
10th. Okay.
Yep. That's very close to what I said, I think. That may have been my fault, let's be honest. So I would entertain a motion on those two meeting minutes.
I'll make a motion we approve minutes for 4:10 and 3:13. Oh, I'm sorry.
We've got a motion to approve both, and we have a second. All those in favor signify with an aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign. That motion does carry. That takes us on to old business. I do not see any old business on our agenda, so we'll move on to the new business. And first up, we are going to hear, I believe, from Derek Warren on a couple of different items here. First, on a facade grant request for the address of 207 East Washington Street.
All right, so the grant is what we're starting with here?
Correct.
Okay, sorry. All right, so in front of you tonight is an application for some facade help at 207 East Washington Street. The applicant is 6T Holdings LLC. Robert and Tracy Tranum are the owners. And I want to make it clear that this is not owned by a church any longer. I think it was put on your agenda tonight as the First Baptist Church because I'm sure that's what it will be known as for some time. In fact, it says it on the top in limestone, First Baptist Church. But it is no longer church-owned. So the applicant has a certificate of appropriateness for brick repair and tuck pointing, repair of the parapet wall on the south side of the structure, and a new roof. They received the COA at the May meeting for the HPC. Let's see here. I want to show you a quick picture of nothing too fancy on this one, but I thought I can show you exactly. There's a couple windows on the east-facing wall that, as part of this application, are going to be bricked in. It was windows that were previously taken out and used as a, breathing for the organ once upon a time, so it helped the organ operate. So this was, one of those situations with the HPC that, according to their rules, anything visible from the public way is part of their purview. This one was extremely close. You almost have to be at a certain angle down an alley just to see it, but the building is rated outstanding, and that is the highest rating that you can get in our district. So because of the nature of the rating, we went ahead and ran it through the HPC and showed them the same picture. Again, I'm literally standing in the backyard of the property to the east to be able to get this angle, but the two windows that are being bricked in are the windows that are outlined in green. Then overall tuck pointing of the building is in severe need of tuck pointing, also needs a roof, and the parapet wall in the south is leaning, so that will be all repaired. And the parapet wall will be repaired with the existing brick. And in addition, the brick that will be used for these windows here, the contractor will take out the half brick, so to speak, that are around the window and weave the new brick in, so it'll be a seamless look. All right, let's get to the money. All right, the two estimates for each component was submitted and checked. We'll start with the roof. Knox Services was the low bid at $82,511.55. EADS was the high bid at $118,721. The grant contribution level is defined in the 2023-03 resolution, and roof applications are eligible for a max amount of 30%. So with that, staff recommends the RDC award $24,753.47, with the owner's responsibility being $57,758.08. And that RDC award that is recommended is 30% of the low bid. The masonry restoration, the tuck pointing, the parapet repair, and the brick installation, again, Knox Services was the low bid at $23,688.39. And KRM Enterprises was the high bid at $26,750. This work does fall into the grant scale that is in Resolution 2023-03. It actually falls into Category 1, which is kind of the new revised category that encompassed 5 of the previous categories. And in that category, the owner's share from $0 to $40,000 for a project is 25% of the eligible cost, with the max grant being 75% of the eligible cost. The staff recommendation is the RDC award $17,766.29, with the owner's share at the 25% of the eligible cost of $5,922.10. That is all I have for this presentation on my end. The applicants, Robert and Tracy, are here tonight to answer any questions that you might have for them prior to your vote.
Awesome. While we have Derek up, any questions?
Yeah, can I see?
Can you redisplay the numbers for us?
Yes. Okay.
Perfect.
Here it is, John.
I gave them my copy.
Okay.
Any other question for Derek before he steps away? Would the applicant like to say anything? He's pretty good at that. Derek, just for my recollection, the roof, I know we have it at the different percentage, but that also does not count towards the repairs?
Correct.
And the steps?
Yes, the roof application is separate from the scale found in that resolution.
However, the first project can now be built upon. So if this were to be approved, that goes with the building essentially, and any additional improvements will grow up the scale, if you will.
Correct.
So just wanted to re-clarify that for the commission as well as the applicant.
Yep. With this building, I've met with the applicants several times, and, I fully anticipate probably a window application coming back for this building, not the stained glass part. Certain parts of the building being outstanding are going to be, off the table as far as approvals go, but there are a ton of windows on all 4 sides of this building. And
I'm sure they'll be very cheap too.
Yeah. I haven't counted. I'm sure the applicant has 83 windows, not counting the stained glass windows. So you can see how that will add up.
Wow. Crazy.
May have missed it. Do we have an anticipated use for the facility, for the building?
I can let the applicant speak to that
Thank you.
if you'd like.
Hello, Tracy Trainham. What was the question?
What's the anticipated use of the building?
It's going to be a multi-use. We're going to put our business in there for one. We own God and Son We Trust, the transportation company. I don't know if you've seen our vehicles around town. We also are going to have our ministry in there, Brother and Sister Check Ministries. We've had some other ministries reach out to us and maybe coming in there too. We really want it to be type of a community center type thing, where we're having things in there that are really going to help the community. We've already touched base with the city about being able to put in 5 apartments up top, where actually we are going to move into, and some of the other people that are doing ministry in there, and it wouldn't be for anybody outside leasing or anything, it would be for our own people within the ministry. That's kind of, it's still flowing exactly what's going to be in there, but we want it to be a lot of ministry and community involvement in there.
Maybe premature, but any thoughts on parking? I would think parking's fairly limited on that side.
Yes, parking is limited. You know, it would just be like it is now, where people just park on the street, or if, you know, where it's located, people walk in to use it, kind of like the church did before us, I guess.
And this is part of the Central Business District, which has the half rule on parking as well. So, this would fall into that as well, correct?
Thank you, appreciate that.
Anything?
Clarifies a little.
Great. Any other questions from the commission? All right, so
Okay,
with
thank you.
that, we can do these as a single, correct, Derek? Are we good with that? Just single total? Or would you want it broken out?
If you could break it out into the roof and then to the facade, yeah.
Separate,
Yeah,
I think. 'Cause
that'd be good.
One's at 1%, one's at a different percent.
Yeah. Yep.
Then I did all the math for no reason.
No, we need to.
All right, so, I know it, right? So let's contemplate first the roof application. Staff recommendation on that was the $24,753.47. Do we have a motion?
I'll move as presented.
So motion to accept as presented, awarding the $24,753.47.
47 cents, yes.
Perfect. We have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor, please signify with an aye. Aye. All those opposed, same sign. That motion does carry. All right, so we're good on the roof portion. So moving along to the additional tuck pointing and masonry restoration. And as a reminder, that one was a staff recommendation of $17,766.29. So I would entertain a motion on that.
I move that we approve this Category 1 grant in the amount of $17,766.29.
Perfect. We have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
We've got a second on the table. All those in favor, please signify with an aye. Aye. All those opposed, same sign. That motion carries as well. Thank you very much. We look forward to it. And I believe we're going to keep Derek at the microphone here, just to give us a quick update on the 124, 126 North Lebanon Street.
Thank
A
you,
couple
Cole.
items on that, I believe, right, Derek?
Yep. I don't have much to report. We did close on April 14th. Closing went fine. There were no issues there. Got all the utilities transferred over, trash taken care of, which was being handled in a very wonky way. So the tenants that are upstairs will should appreciate their new trash process versus the one that they were going through previously, walking it across the street, down the block, into another container. I don't know. We did collect rent from one of the residential units upstairs and the shaved ice. The two rentals upstairs that Teen Challenge was in, that was sent to Jennifer Jones like the day after closing. So she has that check and we're trying to get that from her. So we are hunting her down. So we will have that. I don't have a financial report for you tonight because of that. And also Matt Taylor, our property management representative, is out of town until Thursday. So I will have a financial report for you next month for basically May, and what we collect 1st of June. The residential tenants upstairs were notified that their leases were not going to be renewed, and that we were giving them until August 1st to be out. Teen Challenge went ahead and moved one of their units out, which that lease expired at the end of April anyways. The efficiency upstairs has been month to month since day one. I believe he intends to stay until about that August 1st point. And then Teen Challenge on the other apartment will stay until that August 1st date as well. We did reach out to the Paradise Shaved Ice owner. He is aware that, obviously, he sent us the check, but he is aware that the RDC now owns the building. He has a general idea of what our goal with the building is going to be, and intends to work with us. So he loves the space. He has 6 locations, and this location is his top earner out of all 6 of them. So
Awesome.
That was good to hear.
Huh?
I think that is it. We will start to put together the RFP here within the next couple weeks. We'll probably call an executive session of some sort, just to talk through those details before we get it out there in the public, to make sure we're all on the same page and agree with what we're floating out there.
Awesome. We do have one kind of unique opportunity with the side of that building, from what I hear.
We do. If the Heart of Lebanon would like to present that, I'd be happy to let them do so.
Shenanigans. I'm actually going to take that one if you're okay with that, Derek. So the Heart of Lebanon has typically done temporary art throughout the downtown for basically the summer and fall season. And they came across a unique application for art that we'd like to see if the RDC had an appetite to let us display on the side of the building, kind of showcase that building a little bit. It's a temporary, it's made out of aluminum, actually. The theme for this year for the Heart of Lebanon is doorways to the past, present, and future. So the theme would be a doorway essentially opening up maybe a black and white image of like the courthouse. Next up would be something a little bit nowish, and then the future highlighting the youth of the community. So the request from the Heart of Lebanon, I am the president and will be abstaining from this vote, but the request from Heart of Lebanon would simply be allowing use of that side wall that faces Washington Street. The application has an 18-month life on it, is what they do typically. This company has installed on multiple historic buildings throughout the country. They're based out of Emporia, Kansas. So that is the company that we would be partnering with as the Heart of Lebanon to install this. They have assured us that there will be no damage to any bricks. The recommendation is that it not go on painted surface, which is why this surface would be a great selection for this application. And it's also a great way for us to kind of test out this product being applied in our downtown area, given that the building is likely going to go through a massive restoration kind of around the entire facade. So
I only have a question. I thought we were trying to sell that building as fast as we can. So why are we getting into an 18-month thing?
no, so the temporary art would actually only be displayed until the weather became not well, so probably November, December. If you recall the banner that was on the side of CarMax last
I know
year,
what it is.
that was the temporary art for that. It's a different application, and it wouldn't be under any contractual obligation whatsoever. It's just simply allowing the use. And if in the course of restoration, it is something that has to come down, there's no cost to the RDC. It's being weighed by the
Not a
Heart of
question of
Lebanon.
that, it's a question, I thought we were trying to turn it over.
Which is fine, but at this moment, we're looking to get it installed as the Heart of Lebanon, probably within the next couple of weeks. So the Redevelopment Commission is the owner of the building at this point. So that's why the request would be coming before the commission, just for permission to install it.
And Keith, you're exactly right. I mean, we're probably not going to hand this thing over until, September, October, in that time frame at the earliest. And I doubt a restoration, starts prior to,
Maybe, but
December.
what I'm saying is,
It will be at the will of the new owner to, whether or not that thing is left up after it's transferred. I think in the meantime, I don't think it hurts anything to give it a shot. As Corey mentioned, this is a great opportunity for us to test out this product to make sure it is what it is. Because in the reality of it, if it's not quite what it's being sold as, and it were to damage some of the mortar or maybe a brick or two, that brick's all going to get restored anyway. So there's no further damage that this thing can do to the building in the meantime.
No cost to us, right?
No cost to the commission whatsoever.
No cost to the Heart of Lebanon?
The Heart of Lebanon's gonna purchase the artwork.
Okay.
So the Heart of Lebanon is gonna do the purchase. One item that Rob suggested is potentially we just draw up a simple contract with the Heart of Lebanon that just allows removal with so many days' notice. That way, as we do sell the building, if they choose to take it down, it's a really simple contract. Hey, give us a 5-day, 10-day notice that you're gonna remove it. That way, we're just aware of it as Heart of Lebanon.
What's the company's name? Is there an example? Do we have any examples or samples?
Yeah.
Did I?
I'm gonna step up to the other mic.
Derek, while Corey's getting ready.
So,
Derek? Corey's, yeah. I assume there's no ordinance or code that would limit the use of the facility, the wall?
As long as it is not advertising copy, you get into a scenario there where if you're advertising for a business, it is more of a sign instead of a mural. In this case, this is just a theme, so it's not necessarily advertising a tenant of the building or any other commercial properties within the district.
This is a sample, right, Corey? This is
this is
We're
ours.
putting Mickey
No,
Mouse up on
I
it?
really want to advertise Emporia State. No, so this is just an example. Couple of quick things. So the Heart of Lebanon did appear before the Historic Preservation Commission. We did get approval for temporary art. This was the exact item that we went through. So again, here's another display with butterflies. This is kind of a, oh yeah, do you have the one with the... Look at that, that's even bigger. There we go. So that is the idea that we're gonna be pursuing. So you see the doorway here with our historic courthouse leading into, one of the festivals potentially, and then into, again, showcasing youth. You'll notice the bicycle here, that's actually to highlight the Big Four Trail that connects our downtown. And then the colors were used with the HPC just for appropriateness. So you're not gonna see any neon orange, neon yellow, crazy colors like that. We're talking earth tones, basic, reds, greens, so. All right, any other questions? Perfect. I'm gonna slide to the other side of the desk now. Thank you much for that. That was a bigger picture. All right, so again, I will abstain, obviously, from this vote, but I would entertain a motion in either direction to allow the Heart of Lebanon to install temporary artwork on the Washington Street facade.
It could be up all summer or...
Yeah, so typically-
Till the next owner decides they want to take it down.
Yep, absolutely.
I'll make a motion, we give approval to put a, I'll say temporary sign up on the side of the building.
Does the commission?
Does the motion need that
Right, would the commission prefer to have a contract
With
in place
instructions
with
or-
legal review?
I think it'd be nice.
Okay, so the motion then would allow with
Contract.
a contract in place, final legal review? So that's the
We don't own
motion.
it. We're simply giving permission. Heart of Lebanon owns the.
The mural itself, correct.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So we have a motion.
Yeah.
Yes. Probably shouldn't authorize me to sign. The vice president to sign.
Okay,
You guys figure it out. I'm okay.
all right.
Probably the vice president should sign that one.
Right,
Yes.
noted. So we have a motion for all those
A
things.
convoluted motion in front of the commission.
We're just looking for a second.
I will second that motion.
All right, so all those in favor, please signify with an aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, same sign. That motion does carry. Huh.
Okay.
Gets a little muddy when you're involved in a couple of things, huh? My apologies. But thank you very much, Commission. That'll be a pretty cool item for us.
Set up by the end of the month.
Ooh, that's pushing it. We actually, so the specific design is created by the company. So they want to ensure that they have resolutions that match and goes through their software properly. So we're a little bit at their disposal. But yes, as soon as they're able to produce it and get it back here is when we're going to have it installed, hopefully by the end of the month. I just don't want to guarantee anything.
I already wrote it down. And
You already write that down, Missy. He wrote it down. Got it. Yes. Good, good. Well, luckily, that was the hardest part of the night. So Brian, I think you're going to have the easy part. Mr. Brian Colton with Baker Tilly is up here to give us an annual TIF report. Always the highlight of our year.
So, and there it is, okay. So we changed it up a little bit to make this hopefully flow a little more smoothly, but I'll still go through the expedited version of this.
Perfect.
If you've got questions, feel free to stop me, but some of the general slides at the beginning, we're just gonna skip through since I see familiar faces that are very experienced. And you should have a handout. I think, Tanya, you passed those out. Thank you for that. And then in the audience. So we'll go through, and as you know, this is required by law about 3 or 4 years ago. It's probably even longer than that now. They required this where we do an annual meeting just to kind of let the overlapping units know, and they were invited to the meeting. So we can get started. So the first few slides, just basics of TIF mechanics. So like I said, we'll skip through this. We'll skip through this. And then just the expiration of the TIF areas. Just the big picture on that law has changed over time, a couple different times, and where we're at now. Any new TIF area that's established, 25-year life in that area after you have the obligation for those revenue dollars. If you don't obligate money, that clock hasn't started on that TIF area yet.
Great.
So the largest TIF area, and the one that has been here the longest, and also has been expanded a fair number of times, is the industrial park allocation area. And this just shows the revenue. We do, within the next few years, we do have our first portion of it starting to actually expire and roll off. And then that just keeps continuing as you see the revenue numbers kind of peak and then fall off. There's not a lot of room out there for additional development, but there is some room still. If that was the case, this could increase as well, but this is probably a pretty representative flow for that TIF area from now until the mid-40s. Also, just summarizing the different number of bonds that we have out in that TIF area. So we do have 7 bonds in that area that are being paid from Industrial Park TIF. As you can see, we've been pretty active in there, but recently they've been more developer or specific site development projects. So the last real bond issue out of this area was back in 2018, as far as it being specifically obligated. Also, all the bonds in this TIF area have the property tax backup behind it as well, so that's really there for marketing and the ultimate security if something went wrong. It's been a very strong TIF area, so that's never had to come into play. Did put together a cash flow for this TIF area. You can see we've included some one-time expenses for '23, and then obviously beyond that will depend on what you guys come up with as you get into the budgeting process for the future. That had a drain in it. It was the biggest portion of the one-time expense for this year in there as well. Even with that being said, if you look at where the balances are at the end of the year, we're estimating about $2.2 million balance in that account. So still a very strong situation when you've got over $3 million of TIF coming in, you've got 2.4 of debt service payments. So it's a very strong TIF area, continues to be. We just summarized some of the developer TIF areas that you have. So these are the DA Lubricants one that did have bonds that has since matured last year. So now those revenues are available for project costs for the TIF area, for the Redevelopment Commission rather. So those are available revenues. And then we have 3 bonds that are outstanding still for a few of the areas, and then a few that are not pledged to bonds specifically. Well, and one to point out, like the Waterford, you know, that's been established, but that really hasn't moved forward at this point in time. The downtown allocation area, this shows the current development, which I think we're actually going to get TIF this year out of the downtown. I think it's maybe the first year. One year I think we got $2. So I think this year we're supposed to actually get like $6,000. So we're going to see if that actually happens. I'm not going to wager on it though. And then also shown on this is the Forza TIF, and that's the minimum payment that's coming in from the Forza agreement as well. And then this is the new cold allocation area. That's where we recently had the second bond issue that was done. So the gray is the TIF, and then you see the bond issues on top of that, and then the blue represents excess TIF for that given year that can go towards actually prepaying those bonds earlier than the scheduled debt service. The Gateway Marketplace, this is the mixed-use development out on 32 by 65. So this is payable from TIF, food and beverage, and then also has a special benefits tax backup as well. And as you can see on this schedule, the dark blue is the estimated TIF dollars. It has not developed quite as quickly as I think what we anticipated, which isn't surprising given when this was done and then things that happened about 2 years later. But it is assumed that over the next couple of years, the rest of that should really have good build out with a number of projects. Food and beverage is being used and was anticipated to continue to be used to help pay the debt service on this. If that TIF ever gets to that point in time that can actually make the full payments, then that food and beverage can roll off or drastically be reduced. As you can see, based upon the estimates, we're hoping that by 2025, you're down to about $50,000 of food and beverage going to pay debt service compared to the almost 200,000, over 200,000 where you're at right now. The next area is the Fieldhouse allocation area. This is obviously the Fieldhouse project that was out there along with the mixed-use development that is around it, which is shown on that illustration. A couple of different bonds were issued. One's payable from revenues of the Redevelopment Commission, so that can be TIF from this area as well as available TIF dollars and other funds, as well as the certified shares as the backup, so that had the income tax backup to it. The second series of bonds had a property tax backup to it instead of an income tax backup. So this schedule just shows the estimated revenues. And this is based upon when we did the bond issue and just some of the forecasted revenues. So it's a lot of different components. The rest of them we've been talking about really are TIF dollars. This has TIF, innkeepers dollars, food and beverage information, as well as some different types of TIFs. So you've got industrial building TIF, and also an obligation from the company to provide some operating revenues as well. So it's really a basket of revenues for this development project. We got a lot of weird colors going on this year. So we had a debate in our office about the color scheme that we have, so it's eye-catching. So this shows the revenue stream in the background, and then you can see the two bond issues in the front. And so based upon the development-only revenues, there is a little bit of a shortage, but that's where those available revenues from other areas comes into play. That really helps to pay the rest of that. We're also, I think, probably conservative with some of the TIF estimates as well. So, you know, some of that may fill in, as well as food and beverage revenue estimates as well. So when we show this schedule in, 2 or 3 years, it may look like the revenue is higher than what the debt payments are at that time. So this schedule just shows some of the estimated revenues that are available. And what this shows, the light blue portion on the top is really certified shares. So these are the bonds that have income taxes pledged to them. So that's just showing that if there's no TIF, you have that to pay it. Then you also have the available TIF dollars, and the available TIF dollars are the dollars from those other TIF areas that we talked about. It's your excess in GDI, it's your excess in the industrial park area and some of the other TIF areas. And DA lubricants, for example, as well. So if you didn't have any of the money shown on the previous page, you still have money to pay it before you even dip into your income tax dollars. Just wanted to kind of show that to you as well for an illustration. The last portion that we'll touch on is the impact of tax increment. Obviously, the question is, does it take away from other units? If the development wasn't going to be there without, utilizing TIF dollars and incentivizing the projects, it really can't be lost revenues or lost assessed values. It does postpone that assessed valuation going to the overlapping taxing units, but as you saw, we're going to start having some of that flow through. Starting in 2026, some of that assessed valuation in the industrial park area will start to flow through to all the units for their budget process. Not all the personal property is captured as well. Not all the industrial park is even TIF'd. I think that's one thing that not everybody knows, is that we've had those conversations before. They see industrial park TIF, they think everything out there is in the TIF area. It's not. So there's already some of that that's been impacted and benefited from some TIF dollar spend that's increasing assessed valuation. Also, you get the income tax dollars, things like that as well, that are a benefit. Next slide talks about, does it take away from schools? So school funds are largely a product of the state revenue. The operations fund and the debt service fund are levy limited. So no real revenue impact from the TIF capture. And so as we talked about, that TIF capture does capture that assessed value. If that assessed value is there sooner, then it does help that tax rate and could help that tax rate decrease for the school as well as other units as well. Taxpayers' property tax caps reduce some of the school funding, circuit breaker loss, only if the TIF does not meet the but-for test as well. If there's a referendum, which there are some, those levies are not captured. That rate is not captured for the TIF area, but that assessed valuation of the TIF area does go to the referendum rate, which is shown on the bottom portion of the schedule. So what that shows is that there is a portion of the assessed valuation that is going to help the schools with those referendum calculations. And then one slide about the impact of the industrial park TIF specifically. So about $22 million of infrastructure has been funded from industrial park TIF bonds. Really, the only alternative to that is if you were to do a property tax bond issue or an income tax bond issue. Usually we look at if it was not TIF, probably be a property tax bond that would have had, obviously would have had a tax rate that could have increased circuit breaker then with the higher tax rate. So the TIF helps to offset that. I already touched on this point. Not all the buildings in the industrial park are in the TIF area. And then we only have very few that we actually capture personal property from. But most of the projects out there, we don't capture the personal property dollars from.
Real quick, just on that note there, so when you talk about the circuit breaker credits, so if a TIF, or in this case, a successful TIF was not in place, and these infrastructure needs were needed outside of TIF funding, property tax bonds would actually hurt the tax rate, correct?
Correct. I mean, unless, if you have a $1 million tax levy, let's say, that has to be spread out over all the taxpayers, so that would have a rate associated with that, so that would increase one's tax rate.
Got it. Thank you. Good deal.
Any questions?
Any questions from the commission? Any questions from the public? Yeah, that was a new move. Brian, thank you so much.
All
I
right.
appreciate the information. And Tanya, just for clarity, so that report will be available both in the office as well as online, correct?
To Joe, get it online.
Online, correct?
Yep.
Yeah, perfect. So anyone interested in seeing that presentation and reading for your pleasure, check out the city website in the coming days, or check in with the clerk's office. And with that, I see nothing else under new business, so I believe we can take a look at paying our bills. I would entertain a motion on the claims.
Make a motion, we pay the claims.
I'll second it.
Pay the bills, and we have a second. All those in favor, please signify with an aye. Aye. All those opposed, same sign. Bills are paid. Thank you very much. And to our favorite,
Make a motion, we adjourn.
motion for adjournment. Second on the other end. All those in favor signify with an aye. Aye. We are now adjourned. We will see you at the next regularly scheduled Lebanon Redevelopment Commission.